So, how do I fit all of my creative practice around my day job? Hello lovely friends, thank you so much for joining me for this video. Now this is a question that I get asked a lot. How do you get everything done around a full-time day job? And in today's video I'm going to tell you my top tips, but of course if you have any to add, please leave them in the comments down below. And also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up because it really helps the algorithm show my videos to more people. Number one is be organized. Look, I know this is kind of boring, be organized, but it really is key, because if you're not organized, then you are not going to know when things are due, when art competitions are due, when you've got exhibitions coming up. You are going to be all over the place. So I did do a video a while ago about how I get my life organized, so you can check it out up here. But basically I plot in the key dates for the coming year, like when I have exhibitions coming up, when things are due. And so therefore, because my processes are so slow, I've got plenty of time to create my work. And sometimes I just don't make the deadline. So say there's an art competition coming up and I don't have any work available, it just doesn't happen. But at least if I can plug in the key dates, then I know what's coming up, and so nothing takes me by surprise. Also, when you do that, if someone does approach you to be part of an exhibition or something like that, then you can check your calendar to see if you've got the work available, and if not, if you've got time to fit that in. So something else that I do use these days is Notion. Not sponsored, it's just a really great app. So I use that for planning all my social media posts. So I do all the captions in advance, because otherwise if you do them on the fly, I just won't know what to say. And I also plan even my YouTube videos. So everything that I'm going to do gets put into Notion as well, to make sure that I don't miss any deadlines. Number two is having a routine. Now this is pretty related to number one, being organized, but really you have to make sure that every week you're doing the same thing so that you keep on top of everything. So for example, on Saturday morning, I do all of my paperwork and accounts, and I clean up all my emails, and I also organize my social media for the next coming week. So if you can find time to allocate to do all those boring things, then you can make sure that you have the rest of the time to do your creative work. During the week, if I'm working, it depends if I'm working in the office or if I'm working at home. After I've logged off from my day job, that's when I tend to do some hand weaving, usually during the week. And on weekends, I try to allocate equal time to my hand weaving and to my artwork. Of course, it really does depend on your family situation. So if you've got young children, you may need to wait until they've gone to bed before you can actually do your creative work. But there's always a way to fit it into your life somehow. But having a standard routine is really the key to getting that in. Something else I also want to add is to make sure that you include mindset work as part of your routine. I really do believe that success is 80% mindset and only 20% skills and techniques. So make sure you include things like meditation, affirmations, if you're into that sort of thing, but include that as part of your routine, as well as the boring stuff like the paperwork and the accounts. Number three is to negotiate with your employer. Now, if you're working a full-time job, you can negotiate to get a couple of days off a month, which is what I tend to do. So I have an agreement that I can take a couple of unpaid days off a month to do my creative work, as long as it's not too busy. So some months, if there's a public holiday, then I don't tend to take those days off. But other months, I tend to take at least 2 Fridays off in the month. So effectively, I'm kind of working a 9-day fortnight. So if you're lucky enough to be able to do that with your work, have a think about that, because usually you can make enough money from your artwork to cover those extra couple of days. I'd love to eventually be part-time in my day job, but we've got to ease into that slowly. Number 4 is having a studio away from the house. Now, in case you're wondering how this can give you a job-life balance, the reason is if it's away from your house, then you actually have to travel to go there, and usually when you're there you'll work more solidly than you might if you're at home with all the distractions at home. Now, I really love having additional workspace at Collective Horn, as you've seen in my studio vlogs, because yes, I can get a whole lot of weaving done in that concentrated time, but also I can connect with other artists, so that gives me, motivation, inspiration, and all of those things contribute to my whole creative practice. Saying that, I also love having this studio, which is on the outside of my house, because I can be here till as late as I like at night, and this is really helpful during the week when I'm working in my day job. So I can work my day job and then I can be in here and do my creative work at night time. But if you don't have much space at home, or you do have a busy family life and you feel like you need to get away from your house in order to create, then having an outside studio is a really good idea. Now, how do you find these outside studios? Well, most cities have studio collectives, which is what a collective haunt is. Basically, just go and visit their exhibitions, have a chat, see if there's a waiting list for a spare studio. That's how most of them work. If a studio space comes up, they'll usually advertise it on social media, and then you can send them your information, your portfolio, just to see that it's a good fit for their studios. And prices will range depending on what area of the world you are in. And the final point that I'm going to make is that you will always find time for something that you're passionate about. I mean, that's a pretty obvious statement, but I get so many people who say, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have time. If you really, really love to do that, you would make the time. I mean, if you're going to sit there and make excuses, then maybe you need to question, do you really want to do this? Be honest with yourself. Maybe it's just a fleeting dream that you'll never do. But if you're really, really passionate, you will find a way. I've known people that have worked out of the tiniest little spaces because that's all they have. And you know what? If you are that persistent, then you are going to be successful. So yeah, after all of these suggestions, if you still think, no, I cannot fit creativity into my life at all, maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. Sometimes you just need to have a bit of self-awareness to decide, are you cut out to be an artist? Because being an artist is all about persistence and determination. So how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you can't even find time around a full-time job, then maybe you can't really be an artist. Harsh, but maybe that's the truth. Of course, I would love to hear your suggestions in the comments below if you have anything to add to this conversation. But until the next video, bye!